Good morning and welcome to the off-season presented by BindFinancialServices.com. Bob, how you doing down there?
We're doing fine here. Great weather these days. And, Joe, a quick shout-out to my daughter Sarah, her husband Matt, and baby Jack down in Greensboro. They live about 8.5 minutes from Sedgefield, where the tour event is on this weekend. They're going over to watch it. And,
terrific.
Enjoy the Miller Garden and the Merlot stand that they have down there, and rooting for Webley Simpson, a good friend of the family, the Healy family. Jane and myself are rooting for Webley Simpson. Hope it goes well.
Great.
Quick shout out to Jake Peavy, who after 3 years finally won a ball game. He finally won up in San Francisco, and John Lackey a couple nights ago pitched 7 innings, held the other team to 2 runs. But that Lackey trade where we got Craig, a good corner outfielder, and Joe Kelly for Lackey, who's getting a little elderly, that might be a great Charrington special. We'll find out soon.
Yeah. Welcome back to the off-season presented by BindFinancialServices.com. And Bob, this is one of my favorite parts of the show. It's the RHB rant or rave. I'm not sure which one you're going to perform for us today, but it's presented by Precision Dental Associates, and boy, Mark Klepacki, doctors Mark Klepacki and Piper Wilson do a great job up there with their assistants, and I suggest everyone give them a try. Precision Dental. Bob, what do you have for us?
Well, Joe, this week there's been a lot of hoop-de-doo and fanfare about the Red Sox private Hall of Fame, and they brought in Pedro and Clemens and Nomar and Joe Castiglione and a great fellow countryman. And they had the fanfare, they had the luncheon, and then, of course, the presentation before the game on Thursday night. But, Joe, there was an elephant in the room. There was an unspoken cloud, if you will, hovering and lurking in that room and during the festivities. In 2004, Nomar was traded during the season when we finally won the series. He was traded for Orlando Cabrera. He had some nagging injuries. He lost his mobility moving at shortstop, and he was in a possible dispute for his coming contract. There was a little animosity with management, so he was sent packing. Then Pedro helped us win the World Series in '04, and he was the hero of all of Boston. But soon after that, he left for the New York Mets. They gave him a 4-year contract. We only offered 3, and it was about a $5 million difference. And he left with a little sense of indignity, and he said it wasn't the money. He said he wanted to be wanted. Well, back in 1960, Brenda Lee also had a hit, and she wanted to be wanted, and she never responded to the letters that many of the Orchards guys sent her. But in either case, Pedro left, packed his bags and left. Then we've got Roger Clemens, 13 years with the Sox, great pitcher, 3 Cy Youngs, MVP in '86. But his final year with Boston, he was 6-13, and he wasn't doing very well. If you remember, he was not a very big guy then. In fact, he was skinny when he started with us, and he was a moderate build. He goes from there to Toronto, signs as a free agent. We let Roger pack. We let him go. He wins 2 Cy Youngs. His neck and shoulders double in size. He goes to the Yankees. He wins 2 more Cy Youngs. At age 40 and 41, throwing that split finger there in the dirt, the forkball, no one could hit it. And before those postseason games, going to center field and touching Babe Ruth's statue and reminiscing, and oh my goodness, it was too emotional for me to handle. And then his trial in Congress, where he had that great comment, I misremembered what I remembered, and all that. So, in my mind, the great celebration, I guess, shows, Joe, this week, that there's a healing policy in sports and in all of the world. after a few years, you just, you turn the other cheek and you welcome everyone back. And as far as I'm concerned, with all of the fraudulence and the steroids, they've got a new commissioner in baseball. I think that we caught a lot of people, and there's many that didn't get caught. And there was Andy Pettit who had a mea culpa. He confessed, and Jason Giambi confessed, and they got a free pass. And so it was all how you handle it. My final recommendation, let them all in, let them in the Hall of Fame eventually, and just put an asterisk that from 1988 to 2012 was a huge era of performance-enhancing drugs. Let's turn the other cheek and move on, and let's come out swinging.
Thank you, Bob. Very good. I did see a quote in the paper from Roger, and he said he worked like, hey, whether he gets in the Hall of Fame or not is out of his control, and he worked like hell, and he did it right. I'm sure that few people roll their eyes at that. But at any rate, now it is time for the trivia question, sponsored by Dave DeRico's Golf and Racket Coop on Riverdale Road in West Springfield. We, as always, thank Dave DeRico for all the help he gives us, a valued sponsor. Bob, what did we have last week for the...
Well, the question last week was, during the last 10 years, a golfer won the PGA tournament, somewhat of an unheralded golfer, by on the final hole, the final green, he hit a 7-iron, less than a foot from the hole. And that winner, the person that made that shot, was Sean McKeel, who hasn't been heard since. He was spotted 2 weeks ago at Pick's Pub in Holyoke, but haven't seen him since. But we had several answers. We had a couple that guessed on Chad Campbell and others, but the winner that picked Sean McKeel was our good friend Tom Cheedy from Chicopee. And Tom, of course, will go down to Dave DeRico's, pick up a gift certificate, a great foursome of golf at Toccoa Country Club with the beautiful greens and the warm welcome from E.J. Altabello.
Well, actually, he'll get the foursome of golf at Toccoa, Bob, and then he'll go into the drawing for the gift certificate at the end of this segment, which I believe is in October. But a great job for Tom Sheedy. And, Bob, I believe that was the 18th hole at Oak Hill in Rochester, wasn't it?
I believe so. And, McKeel hadn't been heard from since then. He was on the mini tour. He was all over the country. And, everybody says that if you win a major, it changes your life forever. Well, it does, but you've got to do something about it. You've got to make it happen. He never had a good agent or a sponsor, and we haven't heard from him since.
Yeah, well, and Bob, what do we have this week for the trivia question?
Well, this week, the question, in line with the great celebration at Fenway, Pedro Martinez had many great games for the Sox. One memorable game, Yankee Stadium. He threw a one-hitter. He struck out 17 Yankees, and he gave up one hit in that game. It was a home run. And we'd like to know, for the folks calling in, 413-695-2998. Let us know who hit the home run to break up the no-hitter against Pedro.
Well, I think that's an excellent question there, Bob. And well, I know that Chris is up at the Little Brown Jug today. Chris and Joe Wilson, I hope they play well. And our buddy Chris Farrell is playing as well with Jay Milkey. So looks like a great weekend. Bob, you have a real good weekend. Everybody, we'll see you next week on Sports Radio 105.5 WEEI.